switch it up.
After we can just run through the Skiza games if you can't make it.
Right. Yeah. Welcome to Lowco Pigskin Preview. Real quick. It's a wild schedule now.
Yeah.
It's just games. It's like all staggered stats all over the place.
Most of the games are on Wednesday. We have like a few on Thursday.
Right, 4 on Thursday.
But we got all the high school games on Wednesday and a few Skiza games on Wednesday. We all Skiza Thursday. All right, ready?
I think so.
Okay.
Hey, Lowco football fans. We are back at it, and we are just a day away from kickoff once again, Wes. As we sit here on Tuesday afternoon, we are just over 24 hours away from kicking off week 6, thanks to our friend Hurricane Ian down in the Gulf of Mexico. Our thoughts and prayers with the folks in Tampa and on the western edge of Florida as that thing bears down on them. And we're certainly going to see some effects. We will not know for sure for a few days exactly when or what we're going to get, but certainly some proactive scheduling happening this week. Can you turn down your volume just a little bit? I can hear it coming back. There you go. Some proactive scheduling, which you like to see, because we've definitely, I've covered about a 5-hour high school football game in a hurricane before, and it is with lightning delays and not really a good test of skill when you're playing in that weather. So we'd love to see the proactive nature here and everybody moving on Monday to try to get things in place. And some moving targets still, as some of them were moving from Thursday to Wednesday as the forecast became more clear. But we've settled in now. We've got the schedule all set, and you can see all the times running across the bottom. We're going to have 10 games on Wednesday night and then 4 on Thursday night, West. So one game did get postponed, Hilton Head Prep at Florence Christian. Not sure when they're going to make that one up yet. So let's see here. Let's get into the slate. And actually, let's go through last week's scores real quick and the new rankings just to get people up to speed. So on the South Carolina High School League side last week, Beaufort 55-23 over Bluffton. And we'll talk more about Casey Fields later on. The Casey Fields game, 341 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Battery Creek 19-13 over Whale Branch to open their renovated stadium. Great game that I saw in person. Cane Bay blanks May River 21-0. Woodland 49-9 over Colleton County. Bamberg Earhart 9-7 over Wade Hampton in a good old fashioned Donnybrook. And then over on the Skiza side, we had Hilton Head Christian 43, Beaufort Academy 34. Dylan Price was there. We're hoping we can get him on later to talk.
He just said he can't. He just said he can't make it. So
unfortunately, Dylan will not be able to join us to talk Skiza today. Having some Wi-Fi outages out at USCB, giving him problems. So Thomas Hayward 45-20 over Andrew Jackson Academy. PD Academy 40-14 over Hilton Head Prep. Florence Christian 35, John Paul II 16. Lee Academy 60-34 over Cross. Colleton Prep stays unbeaten with a 48-14 win over Spartanburg Christian. And Patrick Henry dukes it out 22-16 over Clarendon Hall in a heck of a game on their 50th homecoming at Patrick Henry. So those are your scores from last week. The fallout in the polls, Beaufort at number 5 in Class 4A. Whale Branch drops down to number 9 in Class 1A. And Wade Hampton falls out of the top 10, now receiving votes in 2A, along with Estill receiving votes in 1A. So Same teams in there, but shuffling around a little bit, and nobody really threatening to jump up in there from the area that's not in there right now. But we've got some great games on tap this week, Wes, and we'll go through the slate really quickly here with the updated times, and then we'll get into the games a little bit one by one, starting with the high school league. But Bluffton is 2-3, heading to Hilton Head, same record. Bridge Bowl Wednesday night. This one shapes up to be a great one. We're going to talk about it at length here in a little bit, and you'll be there. I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going to go on Wednesday night because the schedule has changed so much over the past 48 hours. Lucy Beckham 4-1 at May River 1-4, but that's the region opener. That'll also be at 7:00 Wednesday. These all 7:00 starts on Wednesday, actually. Philip Simmons at Beaufort to open region play. That could be an interesting one. James Island at Colleton County. Bethune-Bowman at Whale Branch. Bamberg-Earhart at Estill in what could be a very good matchup. I might make my way out to Hampton County because we got two games coming in hot on Wednesday night. We're actually missing Ridgeland and Wade Hampton on there, which will also be played at 7 on Wednesday, and North Charleston at Battery Creek. So that's a big one too. I mean, we've got a bunch of games there. You get into region play, sometimes it just falls out that the one that you've got circled as the one that's going to determine your fate is the one you got first. And, Lucy Beckham May River could be one that could decide a playoff spot too. So as well as Bluffton Hilton Head, there's a lot on the line in these games. Let's start with that Bridge Bowl. I know you're excited about that one. Hilton Head alum. Between the two of us, we've seen every one of these Bridge Bowls, I think. So what are you thinking about this one? I mean, this shapes up to be about as evenly matched as it's been in a while. Bluffton's offense certainly potent. Hilton Head's defense very good. I think it may come down to the other side. How much can Hilton Head's offense do against Bluffton's defense? That may be the determining factor.
Yeah, this is the most anticipated Bridge Bowl I've seen, at least in the past few years. I think it could go either way. It's going to be a battle between these two teams. Hilton Head, I think, may have an advantage in the sense that they're coming off a bye week, so they've had some time to prepare. Bluffton's only going to have a few days to turn around after Beaufort and play again. So maybe a little bit of a break there for Hilton Head to have that time. But Bluffton certainly, I think they found some confidence in their offense in these last few days, and we'll see what they can take from playing at Beaufort the last outing just a few days ago. So, but I do think Hilton has an edge there in terms of the time to prepare for Bluffton. But it's never easy to game plan on a short week, so we'll see what the Bobcats can do. But a lot to be confident about if you are Bluffton. I mean, the offense looked pretty solid against a tough Beaufort defense. Broderick Buxton had a great game on the ground. They're going to have to move the ball through the air a little more because that Hilton Head run defense has been terrific, led by Chris Marable and Shag Thompson. We saw what they did holding Zion Dobson to less than 20 yards, which is an insane number. That's some incredible stuff there by that Seahawk run defense, which I knew would be good this year. Chris Marable heading to Wake Forest, really exceptional anchor of that defense. And then Shea Thompson's been a breakout star too. So love that defensive line. And if you're Bluffton, you get an efficient game from Von Hohenstraat, and you want to take what the defense gives you. And then when the opportunity is there, take your deep shots to Jalen Linder. I believe he has 6 touchdowns already in the season. Explosive receiver. He's a threat to score anytime if he gets past the defense. Need to get the ball in his hands as much as possible with that athleticism. A big test for KJ Holland in that Hilton Head secondary. We saw Wade Hampton find some success deep in that matchup with Hilton Head, so expect to see some throws down the field. Look to get his playmakers out in space when you're talking about Max von Hohenstraat and the Bluffton offense, who can put up points in bunches. So certainly seen that in that Beaufort game. They were able to kind of hang around with them some quick touchdowns in that ball game. So certainly I'm impressed by Bluffton's offense, the way they're playing against some strong teams. But for Hilton, I mean, can their offensive line outdo the Bobcats and give some room for Troy Timpko to gain good yards on first and second down? Timpko has been outstanding this year. Kind of the questions going into the season was who's going to replace Chase McCracken. He was a workhorse, and Troy Timpko has stepped right in and done the job really well. And they can run the option well with Owen Bays. I like the way he operates the offense, gaining more confidence. Bluffton's run defense is going to have to improve this week. They couldn't really find the answer for that Beaufort rushing attack. And Troy Timpko, he can do some damage when he gets some open lanes. So I love the way that Bybee and Owen Baines have helped each other improve in terms of this quarterback duo who has kind of split some time as the season has gone on. I think they both had their best games yet against the Red Devils, and I expect Hilton Head to be able to move the ball, just kind of avoid those mistakes and turnovers, which can plague this team. So you want to make sure to keep penalties to a minimum and hold on to the football. Don't have any poor plays, and you don't want to take any big losses of yards. So if you can do the fundamentals and kind of take what the defense gives you and play smart football, I think this Hilton Head offense will find a way to score some points. But, the Seahawks know how to grind out a game, and with that rushing attack, especially when they have the lead, I think getting on top early would be huge, because it's not a team that's built to throw and come from behind like some other teams here in the area. And it's never easy, though, to go against Jaquin Williams and Jeremiah Curry on Bluffton's D. Two tenacious and physical players that should have big games here in this one, in a big rivalry game. I think that's when the stars really shine. But when you have those big rivalry games, they're going to want to step up and perform. And so I expect to see good games from both of those two. And I think the Seahawks have the advantage, but, the Bobcats, they have the potential to score in a hurry. And I love the way their offense is playing. I think you were right when you said Hilton Head's offense versus Bluff defense. I think that could be the key matchup because I think Hilton Head will perform well on the defensive side. Bluffton, they're going to be able to score some points, but I do think Hilton Head's offense versus Bluffton's defense, that matchup is going to be the key. If Bobcats can get some stops and force some mistakes, I think they could easily grab the upper hand if their offense is clicking. And I expect I expect a low-scoring game that could be decided by some turnovers on offense or a key mistake defensively, because I do think Hilton Head's defensive line is going to play a big factor in this one. It's going to be tough for the Bobcats to move the ball, especially and get yards on the ground. But, you can't sleep on Roderick Buxton, what he's doing, but line's going to perform well, and I do give that advantage to Hilton Head. And Hilton Head, they're going to play you a close, hard-nosed game. They'll play field position. We've seen it in a couple of those wins they've been able to grind out this year, especially against Wade Hampton. They'll be rested. They'll be prepared. They're all coming off their bye week, which I think is a good advantage for the Seahawks. Bobcats, though, they have a little chip on their shoulder, and they should be hungry after last week's loss. They did a lot of things right. A huge game with big-time region implications. It may be week one of region play, but this could decide seeding, even could decide a playoff spot. So we'll see what happens. I think that Seahawks defensive line, I think the hustle of that front seven could be the difference here in what could be a very memorable Ridge Bowl, and also a huge opportunity for Hayden Gregory to make a statement in this region in his first year as head coach of the Bobcats.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big game, no question. There's a lot on the line. We'll look back at it at the end of the year, and it will have gone a long way to determining where everybody ended up in the standings. I'm with you that I think Hilton Head has a big advantage from a scheduling standpoint. The short week is tough, but it's not so tough when you're coming off the bye. You already started game planning for Bluffton. You've already started looking at the film and those things. You're fresh. Bluffton just got banged up pretty good on Friday night. They got in a fight and they didn't win, so that's a tough turnaround, and they haven't been game planning for Hilton Head. They were game planning hard for Beaufort right up until Friday night. So I think that's a big advantage. I'd love to talk to like a professional odds maker and pick their brain about how many points that is worth in this situation. But you got to think that it's fairly significant. So, that doesn't mean Bluffton can't win this game. They certainly can. And like you said, their offense can strike quickly. And so, they're never really out of it in a sense, because they can, you get down a couple touchdowns late, you just start playing schoolyard football and anything can happen. So I think it's going to be a really fun game. I envy you a little bit getting to see that one. I'll go gallivanting elsewhere and try to find a good game to watch myself. But that one's going to be a lot of fun, and you'll be able to see the replay on WHHI. So I'll have to check that out so I can see what happened. But let's move on to another game in that region that could shape up to be a big one. Lucy Beckham really having an upstart season, their first full varsity season, 4-1 in the non-region, playing at May River, which is 1-4. But I would still suggest this is pretty close to a coin flip type of game. Both teams have outstanding defenses. Both have struggled at times on offense. May River, starting to get a little concerned about the offense. They got shut out by a good Cane Bay team. But, I mean, May River or James Island put 28 on Cane Bay. So, that's worrisome. They had 7 the week before. They had 3 2 games before that if you skip over the Ridgeland game. So, that's a little worrisome. They definitely have some things to work out there, and I'm not sure what the answer is, but I just think you have to try to mix some things up a little bit and try some different things, because what's the definition of insanity, they say, is trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And it's a good defense they're facing, so I think they're going to have to get a little creative.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup for May River. I'm really impressed by Lucy Beckham and what they've done defensively, and a crazy stat here. They haven't allowed more than 10 points in a ball game. They've averaged
Because they
with the
lost to
5 points that they've
Hanahan,
allowed.
right? Lost a 10-6 game to Hanahan or something.
Yeah, the only lost the 10-6 decision to Hanahan. So this defense is playing insanely well, and May River coming in, a lot of question marks still on the offensive side, and especially in the fact that I'd like to see a little more from their passing game. I like that they have some guys who can run the football, and Tanner Macy has shown some strides at quarterback, but still a couple more steps they would like to take as they get into region play. But I do think Lucy Beckham has the upper hand here. I think the defense will win out in this contest, and I'm definitely high on this Lucy Beckham team. This region is going to, I still think it's going to be a toss-up, but you can't count out a strong defense, and this Bengals team has showed that so far. So I think the defense will carry Lucy Beckham to a victory here against May River, but never count the Sharks out of it from that intensity that they play. And Rodney Summers coaches this team to really play with that chip on their shoulder. And I expect a strong effort from the Sharks, but I do think that Lucy Beckham defense will be too much to handle in this matchup. I'm going to take the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, May River's a tough nut to crack, man. I mean, that 7-3 loss to West Ashley. West Ashley's a top 10 caliber 5A team.
It's a winnable game for sure.
Great defense there. Lost 13-7 to Buford in a game they probably should have won. And then Buford goes and puts 55 the next week. So I think that May River defense is legit. They had a little bit of trouble last week with Cane Bay. It looked like, looking at the stats, Jaden Jones didn't play on defense, but did play on offense. So I wasn't sure what was going on there, but he didn't have any defensive stats. And against an option team like Cane Bay, that's kind of problematic because you need him to set the edge and stay in his gap. So not sure, I'll have to do some asking around about what's going on there. But yeah, I mean, gosh, you want to think like May River's too good. They'd be 1-5. So you could definitely see them winning this game, like 10-7, 10-6.
Yeah, it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Like that. But I do anticipate low scoring, and I would think May River wants to come out and show some kind of wrinkle that they've been saving for region play. But we'll see what they got up their sleeve. Looks like
the way Jake Ridgway is playing. I like the way Jake Ridgway is playing. He's been able to get something going in the receiving game. He had 6 receptions for 47 yards last week, and starting to have Tanner Macy throw it a little bit more, and he's gained some confidence there. But
I did see they threw it a good bit more last week. Still like to see him get it down the field a little more, because it's I think they had like 23 pass attempts and under 100 yards, or right around 100 yards. So that can be effective, and they need that in there, but they need to be able to stretch the defense a little bit so that they can't pack it so much, because the little across the middle stuff is.
Right.
You can pick up a first down there, but you're not really going to suck that defense back. So, but yeah, I think they're tinkering with it, and I still think they're a very dangerous team in this region. And then let's keep it with that region. James Island at Colleton County, the region front runner against the team that is, probably fighting to try to stay out of the cellar. Although we both agree that they could sneak up and punch somebody any week, Colleton County. So I don't think it's this week, though. I think James Island's got a little too much for the Cougars. Although certainly, the short week definitely puts a lot of things on the table, because it's just out of the ordinary, and nobody's in their routine, and that's when strange things happen. So you never know, but on paper, it looks like James Island is the quality, the better squad here.
Yeah, when you play a short week, when you do things out of the normality, I mean, you never know what could happen, and it's all about hunger and who wants it more in those type of situations. Got to have the stamina when you have stuff like that happen. But I do think this James Island team is rolling right now. Had a tough loss against a really good Cane Bay team, but that's going to inspire them. And they've had a week off to prepare. They didn't play last week, coming off a bye. They'll be ready to go for this one at Colleton County, and give credit to the Cougars for what they did last week, getting that first win on the board is huge. 2 weeks ago against North Charleston. But still, I mean, getting that first W is important. Woodland, that was a tough matchup. Woodland's a very, very good team. Excited to see how they do this week in a big time game. So, but for Colleton County, it was big to get that first win on the board 2 weeks ago against North Charleston. But I think this James Island team is rolling right now. They're playing some great football. I still think they're a title contender and the best team in this region, but not by much anymore. I do think there are still some squads that can sneak up with them, maybe like a Lucy Beckham or even May River Hilton, who knows. But right now, I do think James Island is the class of this region. They've got some explosive players on offense. Love the way Wushi Ravenel has been playing, a really explosive wide receiver who's having a breakout year so far on this James Island team. I'm excited to see what he can do. He's already had 376 receiving yards through 5 games, and they've got some good guys under center. It's been mostly so far Liam Nixon, who's really taken the reins of the offense as at the quarterback position and already thrown 6 touchdown passes. So I think this James Island offense is finding some confidence. Defense is playing complementarily well. And yeah, I do think James Island is a better team here. Colleton County, I love the way they're improving and growing under Chris Howell, but I do think it's going to be the Trojans to take this one on Wednesday.
Yeah, I just think they're a really quality squad. Nothing against Colleton County. It's tough to open with the team that everybody thinks is going to win the region. That's a tough draw. So, but you got to play them sometime. So might as well get it out of the way and learn from it. And now you know what the gold standard looks like, and you can move on. But they'll give them their best shot. I guarantee you that. And I like Mikeem Gant. He throws a good deep ball. He's runs the option well. So. I think that offense has a little juice if the defense can keep them in the game. So if they have to play from behind, it's going to be tough. But let's get on to the 3A region then. Philip Simmons 4-2 at Beaufort 4-1. This won't be the toughest test in the region for Beaufort, but it might be the second toughest. Like this is a pretty good test for them. But the Eagles are definitely clicking on all cylinders after last week, putting up 55 on the Bobcats. Casey Fields, he's got to be a little tired. I mean, 57 carries in the last 2 weeks, and now a short week. So he's going to be probably huffing and puffing a little bit, a little banged up. But on the other hand, he didn't get touched on about 5 of those carries last week. So maybe it wasn't so bad. I like Beaufort in this game, but they can't have a letdown. They need to come out and not let Philip Simmons hang around and get confidence, because this is a team that's good enough to knock you off if you do that.
Yeah, I think on paper the better team is Beaufort for sure. I love the way the defense is playing, and the offense has really found it thanks to that monster game from Casey Fields. But Samari Bonds kind of lost in all the discussion from Fields. Samari Bonds played a fantastic game under center, had 2 beautiful touchdown passes. He didn't run the ball very much, but when he had to make a throw, he was on it. And if he can really complement that with his rushing ability, and obviously Casey Fields been doing a lot of the work, but if you kind of mix up who's getting the ball in a situation like this, maybe you want to rest Casey Fields a little bit, Samari Bonds can be a difference maker on the ground as well. And behind that offensive line, he's playing sensational these last few games. I think Beaufort has a great thing going here on offense. Expect to continue here against Philip Simmons, and the defense has been lights out as well. It seems like everybody is on the same page and is flying to the ball to make plays. Colton Ferries is an absolute stud. I mean, he just has endless speed out there and always flies to the ball carrier, and just a really tenacious and physical player as well. So I love watching him play. And I think Bryce Lavin has really got this group going. Certainly lost to Fort Dorchester. I mean, it was expected, but these last few weeks, the Eagles have been rolling. But Philip Simmons, definitely a squad that can sneak up on you. I mean, this is a team that has some strong talent. They're coming off a 21-0 win over Bishop England. They lost to Ainer, and they lost to St. James. So certainly some games they wish they could have had, but for the most part, they've taken care of business so far. But if the Beaufort Eagles can execute, hold on to the football, and Samari Bonds can manage the game well, maybe make some more strong throws, I think the Eagles should be fine. I expect the defense to be on it again here, and I think they'll get those stops when they need to. Maybe they'll bend, but they won't break. I just don't see it happening on their home field. So I expect Beaufort to take care of business. I think it could be a closer game, but I do think the Eagles will pull away and win this region opener.
Yeah, as far as Bond's not running it quite as much. I think that's probably as much as anything. It's just that Fields is running it so
Right.
effectively. You make
Take
him
the high
stop
hand.
him first, and let's keep our quarterback healthy. Earlier in the season, they weren't having quite as much success on the ground, so they had to be a little more multiple in the run game. And certainly, he's still going to be able to hurt people with his legs. I just think they're probably going to try to pick their spots and keep him from taking too many hits, keep him fresh, and he'll take off when he needs to. And they also need him to grow up as a passer, so it's great to see that development happening. 10 out of 15 last week is a big step up after May River kind of twisted him up a little bit and had him, getting happy feet. So great to see that development happening. I think that team is right on track, right where they need to be. They're making strides every week. Like you said, they're finding new playmakers on defense just about every week. I love Carter Bowersox. Every time I watch him, that guy's in the right place at the right time to make the play they need. And they have a bunch of those guys who just
Tomorrow night.
They get themselves in good positions and make plays. Jamar and Lamar are excellent. Lots of unsung heroes on that defense, really. I mean, it's a yeoman like team effort, and we talk a lot about Ferries and some of the guys who are standouts, but it really is a team effort over there, and they're doing a terrific job. So I like Buford in that one. And then also in that region, North Charleston at Battery Creek. This is a huge game because there's only 5 teams in the region. So top 4 get in the playoffs. So the winner of this game, essentially, and barring something funky where you end up with 3 teams with 1 win in a tiebreaker situation, for all intents and purposes, this is a play-in game because these are the 2 teams you anticipate would be in 4th and 5th. Although, they would both like to have something to say about that. They want to play Philip Simmons, thank you very much, and Hanahan and Buford too. And both of these teams, I think, are better than they have been. Certainly Battery Creek is. North Charleston sitting at 3-3. They've had some pretty lean years, and they've got a couple good wins this year, beating Stall real bad. Comes to mind, they played Whale Branch tough. So played Colleton County tough. So I think this is an interesting matchup, but with Creek at home and the momentum from Friday night's win against Whale Branch, I really like the Dolphins to keep it rolling, and I don't really have a lot of qualms about it. I think they're going to get it done.
Yeah, they're flying high after that win over Whale Branch, and I think they're just going to keep the momentum going on their new home field. The student section is going to come out in full force. I think it's going to be a fun night at Battery Creek. But yeah, this is a massive game because this, even though it's week 6, this could be a game to decide that final postseason spot. And depending if those teams can knock off some of the other guys and crazy things happen, but yeah, this could be the decider in week 6. So North Charleston's going to bring their best game to this matchup because they know how important it is. Battery Creek knows how important it is. But I do think the Dolphins have some more firepower on both sides to win this ball game, and they're riding high after an emotional victory over Whale Branch, and I think they're going to have the mojo to keep it going just a couple days after. We mentioned how good it is to, when you're preparing on a short week, to have that win beside you those last few days, to have momentum going into this one. So you're already fired up about keep going and get another win. So I like that situation for Battery Creek as they get ready to face North Charleston. I'm really impressed by their effort, especially on defense, to hold down a strong Whale Branch offense that obviously were missing some key pieces, but still the effort defensively was outstanding, and they battled hard, and it was what I saw in that Hilton Head very, very similar to how they competed hard for 4 quarters against a tough Hilton Head group. So that's carried over, and Terrence Ash, I just love what they're doing there. They're playing for each other. We are all we need, and all that they said after the game. I mean, it's just awesome to see that camaraderie and just that togetherness. This group that play as one, play as that family, and just a band of brothers that will go in and play for each other. And that's what you love to see from a group like this. And I'm just really proud of what this Creek team has done. They're certainly on the rise. And if they can get past North Charleston, I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, there's some teams that they could sneak up on, like a Philip Simmons, like a Hanahan, if they could play that strong game and get it done on that defensive side, especially, and what they did against Whale Branch. So definitely gonna be tough for these next few games, but this is the big one. This is the one you need to get. And I'm sure if they bring that same intensity that they did in that home opener last week, they're going to get it done. And I think that just momentum, I think that's a real thing. And I think it's going to continue into this week for the Dolphins.
That's it, right? It's the consistency. That's what is lacking, is can they bring it every week? And they did not bring it against Bluffton. They didn't. They didn't compete against Bluffton. Got beat 38-0. If they play like that, they won't go to the playoffs.
I think
they
the
won't
start of
knock
the
off
game is
anybody.
key. I think the start of the game is
Right.
key. If you can get things going, that first sustained drive, if you can put points on the board or make a big stop on defense, I think the first few series are going to be critical to what happens in this game.
Yeah, they're another team that's not going to be in a good position if they have to play from behind, right? Because they want to throw it about 7 or 8 times a game, and maybe one of those is a deep ball, and most of them are screens and swings and slants. So they don't want to try to play from behind. They want to get on top and run the ball and run the clock. So you're right. The start is very key for them. It'll take them out of their element if they fall behind. Bluffton was a terrible matchup for them. That was not a great situation. But, I like them in this game. I loved what I saw on the sidelines last week. I was a little concerned about the morale after the Bluffton game, but I think the new stadium came at just the right time. That gave them a reason to get excited and play with some pride this past week and lit a fire. And then they got to taste what it felt like to win on that new turf in front of that crowd and get the band hyped up, and everybody's still in the stands at the end of the game. They didn't leave like they usually do. And, you get a little taste of that. You want some more of that. So, and the other thing is you get a big win on Friday night, you wake up on Saturday morning and you can't wait to go play again. Like, you just can't wait to get to game day. Whereas you get licked on Friday night, you want to go home and bandage your wounds and take your medicine and get well before you get back out there. So I think that's a huge factor. I think Battery Creek will ride the adrenaline and the momentum a little bit and give another good effort against North Charleston. And I think they're going to put themselves in the playoffs, or at least put themselves in really good position to get there with a win here. So let's look on down to Class 2A, where we got Ridgeland 0-5, Wade Hampton 4-2. 2 straight losses for the Red Devils. This will be 7 o'clock Wednesday as well. Wade Hampton, this is their homecoming, final homecoming for the Red Devils before they become the Hampton County Hurricanes in their merger with Estill next year. So, I was joking with Rob Hanna, how appropriate that a hurricane spoils homecoming the year before you become the Hurricanes. Nobody will believe it, and we write it into the script if you guys win it all next year and we end up writing a movie for Disney or something. But it'll be a classic that the Hurricanes spoiled the last homecoming before the Hurricanes. But I don't think the Jags are going to spoil homecoming. I think Wade Hampton's going to have a get-right game here after 2 really tough tests against good defenses with Hilton Head and Bamberg Earhart. And I think they're going to take out some frustrations on Ridgeland. But the Jags coming off the bye, you hope maybe they found some things and got well and are able to put up a fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good homecoming, good final homecoming for the Wade Hampton Red Devils. And I expect Zion Dobson to run all over Ridgeland Harveyville. And, I'm once again, I'm very proud of what they're doing over the Bar is doing and how he's getting this Ridgeland team off to a good start here his first few years. And I expect that better times are certainly ahead for this Ridgeland squad going forward. But Wade Hampton, they're angry. They've lost 2 straight, coming back home. And, I think this is going to be a good game for the Red Devils. I think they're going to get on top early, use that strong running game to get some separation. And I think the defense has been playing pretty well. They gave up just 9 to Bamberg Earhart. And they 27 to Hilton Head, but still, I liked how they played. It was tough for the Seahawks to score most drives, so I think Wade Hampton's going to put it all together in this game and win this one over Ridgeland to pick up a victory back at home, pick up a region win, and get back on the right track. So I love the way that Zion Dobson's playing. Tough last few games. I think the offensive line is going to want to perform a little better. I think they will, and Dobson should get his running room to rack up those yards again. And I love the way Terry's also playing at quarterback. I think he's making some solid throws downfield, and he's got a couple receivers that I really against him. Had a couple that impressed me. Nigel Solomon, a key playmaker in that Hilton Head game, and they've got some athleticism and talent across the skill position landscape. And then Love the way that defense playing, flying over to the field. And Mandrell Sanders has been an absolute difference maker there. Linebacker, made a few sacks in the Hilton Head game. Expect him to be solid early on against Richland. So I think Wade Hampton should roll on a very emotional homecoming night.
Yeah, I like the Red Devils here. I'm not concerned about the two losses, back-to-back losses at all, to be honest. I mean, they played a quality Hilton Head team that has a very good defense. Yeah, that has a very good defense, and they struggled. Okay, you had a rough game, and then they dang near beat a really good Bamberg Earhart team, and their defense played terrifically. So I mean, I'm not sweating that at all. I think they're going to be fine in this region, and Ridgeland is a great opponent when you've lost a couple in a row, because they're kind of going through it. So that's a good team to see on your schedule. Hate to say that about the Jags, but it's just kind of what it is right now. It's not a very even matchup, so Wade Hampton should be able to take advantage and get things back on track going into region play. Going on to 1A, Bethune-Bowman 1-4 at Whale Branch 3-2. This also looks like a get-right game for the Warriors. I'm concerned about them just because the injuries. I mean, when they lost Cliff Major, we were concerned about who was going to run the ball. But Mason Griffin was the answer, and now it looks like Mason, he looked like he was pretty badly injured. So, and emotionally injured, which indicated to me that it was probably pretty serious. But you hate to see that. Great kid, great player on both sides of the ball, and they're going to need some guys to step up. And Zoe Allen comes to mind, but it can't, in their system, it can't be one guy, because those guys have to go both ways. They're going to need multiple guys to be able to carry the load, or else they're going to have to kind of reconfigure and let Ja'Kai Boucher spread them out and see what he can do, which may not be a bad idea. I mean, he can sling it a little bit, and he's got some athletes that if you can get them in space, they can do some things. But great week to tinker with some things here. I'm not concerned about Whale Branch overall, but man, their state championship caliber hopes definitely take a hit by losing those two guys who are their workhorse backs.
Yeah, those are a pair of big impact makers, and it's definitely tough to lose both of them as you move on this season. But I still think this Whale Branch team will be very competitive, and I expect a big bounce back performance in this ball game against the Mohawks. And there's interesting to see what they do now with Boucher leading this offense, and you could see more of that spread attack and more emphasis on the passing game, getting out to wide receivers. But Boucher can run it as well, and I'm sure when he gets some running room, he's going to take it with his quick legs. So still like Boucher operating the offense, and I think he can work some magic on any play. So still love the way this offense could flow with Boucher, with him leading this group continually here in this season. But they're going to have some guys who can still make plays, like Keith Chisholm, Darius Garrett on the outside, and definitely maybe see some more of Alonzo Allen and getting some looks and get some carries. But if you can get guys out in space and create good blocking and allow your speedsters to make plays, I still like the look of this Whale Branch offense, but certainly take a hit when you lose those two stars running the football, because you know how much the run game is important in the South Carolina School League. And in Class 1A, you want to have that reliable back who can pick up some yards and really enhance that two-dimensional offense. But I think Whale Branch I still think they'll be competitive. Obviously, this does take a hit for them, but the defense is playing strong. I still like their look defensively, and Keith Chisholm's such a game wrecker on both sides of the ball. I still like the way Whale Branch is looking going forward, but I do think they'll get the win here and takes momentum to build with them as they get deeper into this region schedule. And still a team that can be competitive, but certainly those losses will mount if that way continues into the playoffs.
Yeah, I like them this week for sure. I want to see how some things develop. I want to see what they do on offense in response to this. And I like you. I like the defense already. I mean, regardless, they're tough. They didn't do a bad job against Battery Creek last week at all. I mean, they made them work for everything they got. Defense played very well. Had a great goal line stand, another fourth down stop. They did a good job. And they got some playmakers over there. So, I think they're very much of the next man up mentality there. And I think there's some guys who are probably really excited, like they're hurting for their teammates, but they're really excited for the opportunity in front of them, and they're going to do whatever they can to take advantage. So, we'll see what they can do. It's their time to shine. So it should be an interesting finish and a really interesting battle in this region, because then you got two of the top dogs going at it this week, Bamberg Earhart and Estill. This is a pretty good tilt here. Both of them 4-1. I like Estill a lot, but man, Bamberg showed me something. We were both kind of talking like Bamberg's not as good as they've been. Ooh, they showed us something last week, 9-7 against Wade Hampton. This is two quality 1A squads right here going toe to toe. And I kind of want to say Bamberg, but I'm not counting out Estill yet either. They're coming off a bye, and that shapes up very well. Again, Bamberg had a battle to the finish Friday night with Wade Hampton, so this could be interesting.
Yeah, I think it could be anyone's game, and this is going to go a big way and decide what should be a fun region here in 1A and Region 7. That's still picking on Bamberg Earhart, and I think this is going to be a toss-up. I like the way Estill's playing, coming in at a record of 4-1. They did lose to Wade Hampton, but they've been playing well since. They shut out Edisto. They beat Lee Central, and Estill's got some guys who have. I love the way the line has been playing, especially in that Wade Hampton game. They held their own against the solid Red Devils team. I think if they keep that intensity on the line and give some room for their skill guys to make plays, I think could be a good day for the Estill Fighting Gators. But this is going to be a battle. Bamberg Earhart's always a tough group to play, no matter the year. They've got some talent all across the field, and I expect Bamberg Earhart to be on top of their game in this one. Still right there at the top of Class 1A in terms of talent. By the way, when you look at the Class 1A polls, Bamberg Earhart is number one. So they are the top team as of now in Class 1A. My ballot said differently, but Max, good Lord, this throwing ads.
They are, yeah, they're number one.
Sorry, I
4 teams receiving first place votes. Wow.
All right. Yeah, Bamberg Earhart, number one in Class 1A, so certainly a lot of respect given their way early on in the season. My picks did go differently in terms of the poll, but I still think Bamberg Earhart is right up there as a state title contender if everything breaks right for them. So it's going to be a tough matchup for Estill. They're going to have to be at the top of their game. I still think Bamberg Earhart slightly is the better team, but these matchups could go either way, and Estill has really shown their mettle in big games this year. This is another big one. I wouldn't be surprised if they steal it. So this is going to be an exciting. I wish I could go to this one. Obviously, Big Hilton had Bluffton Bridgeable guy, but if you're looking for a fun high school football game on Wednesday night, this is going to be a spectacular matchup.
Yeah, I'm contemplating a trip out to Hampton County, do a little two-step at Wade Hampton and Estill, but then I look at the Beaufort schedule, and I'm like, well, holy cow, you got Beaufort at home, you got Battery Creek at home, you got Whale Branch at home, you got BA at home. That's kind of hard to pass up too. So, I could hit any 2 of those 4, or maybe even 3 of those 4. See a lot of football. And then we got the Thursday schedule to get into. So it's going to be a really fun week of high school football. But let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and break down the Skeeza games on the slate and name our players of the week here on Lowco Pigskin Preview.
I have to get one. I just need to get the paper towel. I'll be right back.
No worries.
There's my allergies.
Yeah, mine are killing me lately.
1 second. All right.
All right, we are back to preview the Skeeza slate here in week 6. We'll run through the games real quickly, and then we'll get into them one by one. Dylan Christian, 0-5, former powerhouse, has fallen on hard times. They're at Thomas Hayward, 4-0. That one kicks at 6 o'clock Thursday. Palmetto Christian at Buford Academy. Palmetto 1-4. Buford Academy 3-1. That one's Wednesday, 6:30. I didn't realize I had just put that one out of order, so. And then we got Cardinal Newman and John Paul II, both 2-3 coming in Wednesday, 6:30 out in Hardyville. You've got Colleton Prep, undefeated 6-0 at Greenwood Christian, 1-5 Thursday at 6:30. Patrick Henry 4-2 at the Kings Academy, 1-4 Thursday, 6:30. Hilda Christian now 3-2 with 3 straight wins, going to First Baptist, which is 2-3, 7:30 p.m. Thursday. And then Hilton Head Prep's game at Florence Christian postponed indefinitely. So that's the Skeeza slate. Let's get into them, Wes. Let's start with Palmetto Christian at BA. BA, a tough loss last week. They definitely feel like they had opportunities to win that game against Hilton Head Christian and just couldn't come up with the stop down the stretch. But they get, we've been using this term a lot, but get right game against Palmetto Christian, which is kind of the which one of these is not like the other in that region where BA, Colleton Prep, and Bethesda all look so strong. Palmetto Christian's kind of the outlier, and they may be coming to take a little of BA's frustration. They're going to be the whipping boys this week, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be the easy one for BA to pick up, and I think they're going to roll, and I'm certainly going to have some fuel after a tough loss to Hilton Christian Academy, which they were certainly in it and had a chance to steal it, but came up short to the Christian Academy Eagles. But this one should be a get-right game for BA. They should get up early with that two-headed rushing attack. Jackson Porter, Devontae Green, and then Braid Deneen is going to have a solid game at quarterback to lead the Eagles to what should be a clear, decisive victory in this ball game, and expect the defense to be on all night as well. So BA should bounce back easily in this one against Palmetto Christian, and it's always nice to have a get-right game to get that positive mojo back after a tough defeat the last week. So expect BA to cruise as they get ready for a couple big games ahead as we get to go down the stretch in the season.
Yeah, I think this will be just what they need this week. You've got to have a short week after a tough game, then you'd like to have an opponent that you should be able to handle pretty easily. So that works out well for them. Cardinal Newman JP2, we got the Catholic Bowl here in South Carolina, or at least in Skeeza. 6:30 Wednesday in Hardyville, so a little earlier matinee start for them. Interesting matchup. JP2, they are just such an enigma to me. I can never get my picks right with them, it seems like, although I did last week. I went against them last week, fortunately. And I'm not sure where to go with this one. They've had trouble with Cardinal Newman in the past, but I really like this JP2 offense. And I've seen, signs that I like from the defense. If they can just put it all together against a quality opponent, they've beaten up on the people they're supposed to beat up on. But they haven't really knocked off somebody that you didn't really expect them to yet. So maybe it happens this week. I like the offense. I love Tilton. When the best player on the field has the ball in his hands every play, that's a good thing. And JP2 has that luxury. But, this is not an easy one, especially with a short week to prepare.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Both sides are coming off a game this past week. Look, Cardinal Newman just lost to 63-28 to Ben Lippen. So a loss there against a Ben Lippen that's still pretty potent this year so far. So certainly a chance to get on the right track for Cardinal Newman. But I like JP2 in this matchup. I think it should be a pretty even contest. And I mean, Golden Warriors, I love the way they've played in situations where they should win. They've gotten the job done against St. Andrews and Memorial Day. Two Georgia sides lost Bethesda and got beat by a good Pinewood team, and then fell short to the Florence Christian team that's on the rise these last few weeks. But JP2, Christian Tilton is off to a fantastic start. Had a great game last week despite the loss. Really electric playmaker. Like the way they're having him run the ball, and certainly some strides still be made throwing the football, but he's efficient when he needs to throw it. And Jackson Ogden with that speed, always a game record. But the defense, I mean, Florence Christian was able to have their way, but I think this JP2 defense is talented. They're going to step up. Christian Tilton had a nice game on both sides of the ball. He blocked an extra point. He had 9 tackles, and then Evan Sluisny with 11 tackles. So they have some guys who can make plays on this JP2 defense against the Cardinal Newman offense that has a lot to prove this week. So I think this should be a very close competitive game, but I think JP2 is going to have the hunger to pull this one off. It could go either way, but I might go with the Golden Warriors this week. And Chris Myers, I think this team believes in him. I think he believes in this group, and I think they're going to pull off a big victory this week.
I definitely like being at home this week. You know, I mean, the short week is bad enough, but it gets even a few hours shorter when you got to get on a bus. So I like JP2 being at home. That's a good thing. I think that's a big edge in a toss-up game. So should be a good one out there. Maybe not as good out in Ridgeland on Thursday night. Dylan Christian at Thomas Hayward. This used to be like a good rivalry in the playoffs. Dylan was a powerhouse for a long time, but they're down this year and winless. So THA should be able to take care of this. But, you know, they played down to the competition at times. And you know, St. John's Christian gave them fits for a half. And then Andrew Jackson last week was hanging around for a half before they took care of business. But Shuford, he seems all business this week. He's had to deal with being the AD too. But I think he's going to have these guys locked in, and they're going to, you know, TCOB, get that running clock in the second half and get on out of there.
Yeah, this should be a quick one for Thomas Hayward. Get your starters out of there and get some of the reserves in there on a quick basis, because I think this team's going to roll in this matchup over a Dylan Christian team that's just really fallen on hard times these last few years. I remember reading about all these teams when I was younger and seeing Dylan Christian as one of those powerhouses. Went up against Hayward in several big games, but this one should be all Rebels. Nick Shuford, as he said, he's a guy that he's gonna get his guys motivated to play each week, and this team's gonna be fired up to get back out on the field and take care of business, get the job done, and take some time off to relax before week 7, because week 7 we're gonna be in for quite a treat. Thomas Hayward takes on Hillman Christian Academy.
Yeah, that's the game we wanted last year. You know, I mean, it would have been amazing last year, but we'll take it this year as a consolation prize. It'll be good nonetheless. But yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't even really say trap game, I don't think, here looking ahead, because this one should be one that they should be able to, you know, focus in for a half and be done with it. And probably the same for Colleton Prep, although they definitely have a difficult situation with the short week in the road trip, and it's a long road trip up to Greenwood Christian. But you know, this is a team we saw. Greenwood, we've seen people kind of run over them, and Colleton Prep has not really been deterred by anyone yet. They're just racking up the rushing yardage. That offensive line has not yet met its match, and the Davis twins are taking advantage behind them. And then I know you are big on Caden Crosby, and he had a huge game this week. 2 long touchdown receptions and a punt return touchdown. Monster game for Colleton Prep. So I like the Warhawks to keep it going and go to 7-0 this week.
That's crazy. 7-0. I mean, this is a team that certainly the expectations weren't as high as coming into this year, but man, Colleton Prep has really defied the odds with the power and the speed of those Davis twins, who have really propelled this team to some outstanding heights here so far in 2022. And I think they keep it rolling again here this week. Colleton Prep gets the Greenwood Christian side that has had a tough start, 1-5. They've lost 5 in a row. And I think that run game's going to be, and that offensive line is going to be just too overpowering for Greenwood Christian in this matchup. And man, I'm just so impressed by the way that Colleton Prep offense, and really both sides of the ball, have been outstanding. Put up 48 last week. Cole Davis running wild, 7 carries, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pass for 2 touchdowns. And then Caden Crosby has grown into a heck of a weapon at wideout. 2 receiving touchdowns. He also returned a punt for a score. So love the impact that these skill position players are making, and the offensive line has been unmatched so far. They have handled everyone that has come their way so far, and I think they'll make it a 7th win in as many games this week. And obviously got to give a shout out to that defense. Noah Carrington, Gus Warren, and Drew Rushton. Carrington, the veteran of this group, but man, they've gotten some outstanding playmakers across that defense, and I think they should have no trouble stopping a Greenwood Christian team trying to find its way this week. So CPA should roll once again to 7-0. What a start for the Warhawks.
Yeah, incredible. And maybe the next best story, Patrick Henry, first 11-man season in almost 25 years. And they're sitting at 4-2 after that big win over Clarendon Hall. Now they go to the Kings Academy, which is just 1-4, Thursday at 6:30. So, I like Patrick Henry to keep it going. And they've been doing it without Hugh Ferry, their quarterback. They've plugged Michael Tucker Mathis in there, and he's just the Swiss Army knife who does whatever they need him to do on both sides of the ball and punting and everything else. But, I love what they're doing. They definitely play throwback, hard-nosed football. I like them to win again on the road here and keep it rolling. And I think they're going to make a little noise in that region. I don't know that they can beat Thomas Hayward, but they definitely look like one of the teams that can challenge them at this point.
Yeah, that was an emotional win. Patrick Henry on that homecoming over Clarendon Hall anniversary. And, man, what a way, just a battle right into the end of that game and got the break and took advantage of it to pull out just an incredible win over the Saints last week. And now I think they should keep it rolling here in this contest. It's just a great story, what they've done this year, getting back to 11-man football and having the success that they're having this year is just an excellent story. And how about the play of Michael Tucker Mathis in the clutch, that 32-yard touchdown pass to Liam Peoples, and then Peoples getting the INT to end it. What an emotional night for him and that Patrick Henry team taking down Clarendon Hall in a very storied matchup over the years. Love seeing all that history and hearing about it on Lowco Pigskin Live. If you missed it, we were able to talk about just some skis of football history and what this matchup has meant over the years, and Patrick Henry coming on top, and a big-time game once again here in 2022, and just a great story, the adversity that they've had first year back and losing their quarterback, and what Michael Tucker Mathis has done to step in. Really inspiring, and I think they get it done again here this week. So what a great job here by Patrick Henry early on this year, and should be another win here in the short week.
Yeah, I like the Patriots. Then Thursday at 7:30, Hilton Head Christian Academy coming off 3 straight wins, 3-2 now at First Baptist, which is at 2-3. First Baptist has been a powerhouse in past years, down a little bit this year, but so is HHCA. But I think this Eagles team is hitting its stride, man. I think they're figuring it out. They had that 0-2 start and looked kind of rough doing it, but then they had the school retreat and the bye week, and they came back and duked it out in the rain with Ben Lippen. And I think they kind of grew together that night, Band of Brothers situation out there in the monsoon, because they definitely brought it last week against Beaufort Academy. 3 straight wins now, and I like them to make it 4 at First Baptist. I think Dylan Clark is starting to feel more confident and comfortable in being himself at quarterback, and not trying to force, what he thinks somebody thinks he's supposed to be, but just going out there and playing ball. And he's got some athletes around him. He can throw it up there, and there's a bunch of guys who can go get it.
Caden Turner has been an absolute breakthrough star this year for Hilton Head Christian Academy, a guy we saw play basketball this year with some outstanding athleticism, and he has taken this year by storm. He's scoring a touchdown per game now for Hilton Head Christian Academy, and that chemistry that he's developed with Dylan Clark has been sensational, and Clark has really found his groove, taking what the defense has given him. He's looking really poised in the pocket, and when the throw's there, he's making the play, and just really impressed by his all-around game and his maturity out there at quarterback. So I love to see Dylan Clark continue what he has done these last few outings, and I expect another big game for Clark in this Eagles side in a game at First Baptist, where I think they should come out on top. And it's interesting to see. I mean, First Baptist used to be a powerhouse these last few years. I just think back to that tough 2020 season where they may have been on their way to winning a state title before COVID ended their season. Really tough what happened that year for the Hurricanes, but I expect this First Baptist team to be competitive. They're going to fight hard in this contest, but I think Hilton Head Christian Academy, that defense, that junkyard dog style that we've seen instilled, I think that Ben Lippen game was a big turning point that they were able to knock off a pretty strong Ben Lippen squad in the rain at home, and I think that just gave them so much confidence that has been instilled in that group. And Matt Big Daddy Scarpa leading the way, alongside a couple other playmakers like Tucker Tevapaw, who's made impacts in punting, but especially with his ability to pick off passes and make stops on the defensive side. It seems like every clutch opportunity he has made a play on this year for Hilton Head Christian Academy's defense. So love the way he's playing and just the cohesive unit. And Matt Smith is just a wizard from what he has done these last few years, building up this Hilton Head Christian Academy defense. I knew Ron Peduzzi's group. I knew they would get to this level. I didn't think it would be this quickly, that they'd be once again right near the top in their skis division this year in Class 3A. And First Baptist certainly far from a gimme. They have a nice win over Bishop England this year, and they beat Hilton Head Prep, but certainly a tough outing their last time against Wilson Hall. I think Hilton Head Christian Academy will come out on top here in what could be a fun matchup. And I love the way the offense is playing. If they can play efficiently, avoid mistakes, I think the defense is going to get some stops and carry them to another win.
I love the way Clark throws the ball on the run. Like he can scramble out of the pocket and then make a decision, like approaching the line of scrimmage, whether he's going to chuck it on the run or tuck it and run. And you don't know until the last second. And he puts it on the money pretty good at full run. He's just a schoolyard type player. He's a mini Jace Blackshear out there, Blackshear in training.
How about Gage Lucan though? Nice outlet, 145 and a touchdown.
Dude, the move he put on to get to the end zone on the touchdown was impressive. They had him caught at about the 20, and he put a juke move on that was sick. And that guy can scoot. So, I thought at one point that he would kind of be the heir apparent in the backfield, but I do like him split out because you can get him in space. He's really quick and can split a gap. So, they're bringing some guys around. Zane Wilson, a monster game on defense too. Thomas Hayward transfer. 17 tackles. That's a ridiculous number of tackles. 12 of them solo. That's pretty impressive. So I like that HHCA team. Like I said last week, I think they have tremendous upside because they have so many guys who are still navigating the learning curve of how to become football players, but have tremendous athleticism. So they're going to come along quickly and they're going to see big gains in a short time. But Hilton Head Prep gets a week off. Not sure when they'll reschedule this game against Florence Christian. We looked and didn't see a open date for both teams, so not sure what the plan is there. We may get the classic we'll make it up if we need to situation. Not sure what's going to happen, but at any rate, Hilton Head Prep at Florence Christian postponed indefinitely, and probably good to get a week off for the Dolphins and try to figure some things out because they're still struggling. They were down 40-0 at halftime to PD. Scored a couple touchdowns in the second half, and they've got some young talent, but there's just not enough of it right now for Dustin Etheridge. He's got to have a couple more years to build some things up there.
I'm still high on Etheridge and what he can do here at Hilton Head Prep, but certainly the hands that he was dealt here in this first year, not in his favor. The depth is still an issue at Hilton Head Prep. They've been able to get some more guys out there, but the talent across the board, especially in the line, still needs some work. The individual pieces, I mean, I love the way A.J. Barger has played this year. Mm-hmm. Really talented wide receiver and a great defender as well. And like seeing him in the Wildcat formation and be able to use his speed and agility out there to carry the ball and hand the ball off to some other playmakers and make some throws too. But still need a little bit more there, especially on the line. Lonsell Daly, it's been hard to have the running room this season so far. So see how things go. Season is far from over, of course, and I think that bye week might be the best case scenario here for this Hilton Head Prep team now that they're able to kind of relax and step back and just look at the big picture, see what they need to improve on, and just take some time to adjust some things as they get ready to go down the stretch.
Yes, sir. And their defense has shown some signs. They've played some good defense at times, and again,
they've been in games too. I mean,
Jason Braymiller is a nice young player.
They pull out those close wins. I mean, they hung with St. Andrews. They hung with some quality teams. They just haven't been able to find that way to get off to those strong starts and then have the ability to get back and close out those wins.
Yeah, they're playing hard. So, credit to Etheridge there. He'll keep building it up. He knows it takes time. So, Wes, that's all the games for this week. So let's take one quick look back at last week and name our players of the week. And I usually do this dog and pony show where I say I can't wait to see who you're going to pick. And Most of the time it's true. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that you could pick, but I know exactly who you're going to pick this week. There's no question about it, but just go ahead and make it official.
I think this might be the easiest call season long. Casey Fields, what a night I got to witness over at Lays Allen on Friday. 30 carries, 341 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. He also had a catch for 14 yards. Just an insane performance from Fields, who just could not be stopped all night with that breakaway speed. And got to give a ton of props to the offensive line, too, for making it happen as well. The blocking was superb, and he is starting to prove himself as the guy, and I'm not sure why you would not give him the ball going forward. And I'm sure that Bryce Lavery is going to keep handing the football. I suspect they'll keep doing that until the defense will do something about it. So what a weapon to have on your football team, and just so proud of the young man for believing in himself and getting himself to this moment. And Casey Fields, my player of the week.
No question. I when we got done with the live show Friday night, I texted Bryce and I said, "So I guess you've been misusing Casey this whole time, huh?" He said, "I guess so. I never claimed to be a smart man." But I don't think he's gonna reverse course now. I think Casey Fields is a running back from here on out. So we figured that one out, solved that mystery or riddle. There was never a reason to try it before you had Amari Morris, So, but yeah, I think we found his spot. So easy pick for your player of the week. We talked about him a good bit, but I'm going to go with Dylan Clark. I think that BA defense is pretty tough, and I think he really grew up on Friday night. 11 for 24 doesn't look that impressive, but the 278 and 3 touchdowns is quite impressive, especially when you mix in the 129 rushing on 27 carries and 2 touchdowns. I mean, this guy was the offense for Hilton Head Christian, and they put up 43 on a really good team. So the guy had a monster night. He became the guy they're going to need him to be able to compete. They need somebody who is a leader, who's going to step up and make a play when they need one, like Jace Blackshear did. And I'm not saying Dylan Clark is or even can be or needs to be Jace Blackshear, but if he can be some approximation of him in terms of what he can do in the offense and what he can do to keep the defense honest, then they're going to be successful because they can still run the same system. And right now he looks like he can at least run the same system as Jace Blackshear and put up some really nice numbers doing it. And again, I love the way he throws the ball on the run. I mean, you're just never out of the play with this guy. Yeah,
he was cruising down 278 last Friday, 11 for 24, 278 passing yards. And, I don't think Hilton Head Christian Academy needs him to be like Jace Blackshear, but more so in terms of a game manager who can make some throws when the time comes and move the ball down the field and in key moments. But he's really developed into a better player than I thought he would be at this point. And a lot of credit goes to him and his athleticism and his ability to throw on the run and make some dazzling plays. So I'm really impressed by Dylan Clark and what he's done so far in his early stages here at quarterback under Ron Peduzzi of this team. And a really strong performance. And I really liked what I saw. And I didn't really see as much in that Ben Lippen game because of the weather, but the throws he did make that were big in that game, he delivered on. A beautiful ball in the end zone where only his man could catch it, and Caden Tudor, and then a beautiful throw down the field on the second touchdown to Morgan Beatonball. So he executed when he had to in that Ben Lippen game, and really impressed by his poise and just the maturity that he's developed under center. And I think he's a star in the making. I'm not saying he's the next Jace Blackshear, but I'm saying he's a guy that you can rely upon to run this offense and get production on a drive-to-drive basis for Ron Peduzzi. He's a gamer. He's going to find a way for you. And if he doesn't, then it means there wasn't a way to do it. That's the kind of guy he seems to be, at least. And that definitely has come out, against Ben Lippen and then again against BA. Seems to rise to the challenge in the big moments. So that's a good thing to have in your quarterback. So, all right, Wes. Well, that's going to do it for this week. We are almost to kickoff. It's tomorrow night. We'll get this thing up as fast as we can so that you can get prepared for it. And, our coverage may look a little different this week, but we're going to get through it, and we'll see you on the other side of it. Lowco Pigskin Live going to be coming at you. The plan is to do it Wednesday night on the regular schedule, 11:15, and then we'll play it by ear on Thursday. Looks like
mostly games on the road. So we'll see what we do with that. We'll make a call on that as time goes on. But we'll see you Wednesday night, Lowco Pigskin Live. Thanks so much to our sponsors, and thanks to you for listening and watching. Until next time, go Lowco.